Okay, and then the distinction between mein Freund and ein Freund von mir. This is kind of a weird thing in German where you know, it's just kind of annoying to work around if you're used to just saying, yeah, he's my friend. So ist ein Freund von mir is, you really want to say that to distinguish that it's not your boyfriend. And it's very context based. So, if I, it's more clear if you say, if I'm a guy talking about another guy that's my friend, and I just say, ja, er ist mein Freund. It people might make it interpret it wrong, but you might use a word like, yeah, he's my mate or my buddy, or there's other words you can use. You can also say wir sind Freunde, and that that avoids the whole gender, and you wouldn't if you're talking about your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you wouldn't say wir sind Freunde. So that kind of makes it clear too. That's why I just had this little thing here where she says mein Freund. She's clearly trying to say this is my boyfriend, and Jan is maybe hoping that that's not her boyfriend or something. So he's like, ein Freund von dir? Nein, ist mein Freund. Nicht nur ein Freund von mir. So, you can kind of see the subtlety involved with that. It's something you just kind of have to learn through context. Also, I didn't really put this in the grammar notes. I didn't really want to confuse anyone, and I'll emphasize it more later. But when you go at the pronouns here, there's actually this z means they. There's another pronoun. It's z written capitalized. So that s is written capital, and it's the formal version of you. So if you're talking to a professor or your boss or somebody much older than you, or even a stranger, you'll use the formal version of z, and it's conjugated the same as they. But it's really easy to remember that conjugation. I just don't want to put it on the chart and have to. I just remember when I was learning German, they always included it on the chart, and I just found it unnecessary. Okay. And then, the last thing on there is saying that the plural form of Freund is Freunde, zwei Freunde. So in English, the plural form is pretty straightforward. You just add an S, and there's exceptions like oxen, fish. There's really very few exceptions. So, and it's if I said oxes, it sounds perfect, even though it's wrong. It's because it's so regular of a thing in English to just put an S to make it plural. In German, this isn't the case at all. There's, there's the most common plural form is an, but a exists, er. You can have the vowel change to make it plural. So you're just going to have to learn each word's plural form as you go. For this lesson, I only told you the plural form of one verb. I don't really want to have, the first lesson, I don't want to overload you with grammar, so we'll deal with that later. Okay, so that's pretty much all the grammar. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If, hopefully I explained that well enough, and hopefully the written part is clear enough. I think I actually realized that I didn't include the conjugations for studieren, and I really didn't. I kind of forgot that I put that verb in there, and there's no chart for it or anything, and I didn't include it in the exercises, so that was an unfortunate oversight. I think right now I'll just type out the conjugations for you, and you can do it as a practice. Try to think as I do this what it would be for each form, I guess. The only thing is I don't I don't actually have Microsoft Word in this computer, so I can't do a table. Okay, so we have the infinitive form is studieren, and it's a regular verb, meaning it's going to be straightforward, the endings. So let's remember the endings real quick. We have this ending is going to be E. This is going to be ST. This is going to be T. Wir is going to be EN. Ihr is the same as sie, s, so it's going to be T. Sie is going to be the same as wir, so it's en. And now, how do you form the conjugations? It's very easy. Find the root of the verb. What is the root of this verb? Just find the en. Whatever is before it is the root. So then you add, if this is the root, we'll bold it. Add that root to these endings and you have the conjugation. Studiere, studierst, studiert, studieren, studiert, studieren. Yeah, so that's how you, anytime you see a regular verb, I'll be telling you in the glossary whether or not the verb is regular. That's how you conjugate it. You can always do that and you'll always get the conjugation. The only exception would be something like arbeiten, and you kind of have to learn that on a case-by-case basis, I guess. Okay, so let's look at the exercises. These are, and this is really, this method of practicing is really what made it, when I was learning German, I didn't really like it at first, and I just got really bored on the bus, and I would just think of like how to say certain stuff, and I would start practicing just by thinking it, and that's really what made me learn and get good at German. So I really want to focus on that. So here we have this example. Beispiel. Beispiel means example. Beispiel 1. Let me go through the numbers real quick, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, it's pretty straightforward. I'll go through more numbers later on. If you really want to practice numbers, there's probably a million things online where you can get that. The reason I'm making these videos is to cover stuff that you can't find online, and stuff like phrases and numbers and people telling you like how to ask where the bathroom is. That's all online. I really want you to be able to make your own sentences and actually speak, not just parrot back phrases. Numbers are definitely important, but I'm not gonna. I don't need to make a video telling you how to count. Okay. So I think this is a clear explanation, but in case you're having trouble, a pronoun, pronomen is like he, she, it. So what pronoun, which pronomen would you use for Sache? Sie. So that's asking you figure out based on her name which one to use here, and that would be sie. And then sein. This is the infinitive form of the verb. So this is asking you to conjugate based on the pronoun. Sie. How do you conjugate sein for sie? If you don't know this, you really need to go back and well, you might need to go back, but this is how I want you to practice the conjugations, really. So if you don't know it, get the chart out and just keep doing it with the chart next to you, and eventually you won't need the chart. Sie ist Nomen. Nomen is noun. So what is she? Make something up. If she's a student, you need to make it agree with her gender. So sie ist Studenten. You wouldn't say Student. You wouldn't say mein Freund because she's a woman. You would say meine Freundin or eine Freundin von mir. So put in anything you can think of. And, I only typed out a few examples for each type of thing, but you can change this however you want. You can say, das ist Stefan. Oh yeah, we have das ist Stefan here. But you can change it to whatever you need. And once you get the feel for the pattern, you can practice this without being at your computer, without writing it down. You can just think of this stuff in your head. And that's the best way to practice the conjugations. So the sooner you memorize these charts, even if it's a shaky memorization, it takes you a long time to think of everything. As long as you know it well enough that you don't need to refer back to it, you can really start practicing just 5 minutes at a time when you're standing in line at a restaurant or something, or waiting for your food if you're fancy and order food at real restaurants. So you have, again, this is really just trying to force you to realize that you probably don't know the conjugations as well as you think you do, because you really should look at the charts and stuff. But this ihr seid Studenten, these want you to find the pronoun. So we have das ist Stefan, which pronoun, just like this one. But then ihr seid Studenten, so this is kind of obvious that you're going to have to use the same pronoun. But then how do you conjugate for ihr? And if it is ihr, what names or nouns would you have? So, because Heisen, you can have names. So if it's ihr, you're going to need more than one name. So you need to think about stuff like that. Just make sure everything makes sense when you do it. Make sure everything agrees with everything. Avoid translating back to English. Don't translate these and then figure out what you're trying to do. Just plug the stuff in. Don't translate. Du bist ein Freund von mir. So this would be, there's a clue in here telling you what gender you need to use. And then wir sind Freunde, that's sind is telling you something about the pronoun, and Freunde is telling you something about the pronoun. So that's really what it's trying to get you to do. For these next exercises, it gets a little more complicated. This is trying to ask, if I refer to you as ihr, what do you refer to yourself as? Wir. If I refer to you as du, then you refer to yourself as ich. So, if two people are talking, they're going to use different pronouns to talk about each other. It's all pretty obvious how to do this if you just think about it. And then there's going to be a test at the end where don't go onto it until you think you really understand everything and you think you've really got this down. Because there's only going to be one test. If you rush on and do the test before you're ready, then you're not going to be able to use the test again later. So really wait until you think you're done and then go to the test. I'll end this by just asking some questions so you have some extra practice that is listening, because you can't practice listening by reading. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and I'll pause and give you some chance to answer. And you can just make up any answer that makes sense. So the first question will be, wie heißt du? Wie heißt du? Okay, the second question. Bist du Student oder arbeitest du? Okay, if you pretend that you said ich arbeite, I'll ask you, wo arbeitest du? Wo arbeitest du? Okay, there were really not too many things you could have answered for that. You could have said, ich arbeite in Deutschland. You could have said, ich arbeite hier. Or, ich arbeite nicht. So you don't really know a lot of German yet, but you had a few possible answers you could have thought of. Or you could say, ich arbeite zu Hause. So you 4 things you could have said. Maybe you were creative and thought of something else. Next question. Wer ist eine Freundin von dir? Wer ist eine Freundin von dir? So for that question, you should have given me the name of somebody who was female. So the next question will be, okay, this question is going to be asking you about the dialogue. Sind Johanna und Paul zusammen? Sind Johanna und Paul zusammen? Okay. The correct answer was ja. Johanna und Paul sind zusammen. Next question. Sind Stefan und Jan Freunde? Sind Stefan und Jan Freunde? Okay, the correct answer for that would be nein. Sie sind nicht Freunde. Because they just met each other, so they're probably not friends. Okay, next question. Studierst du in Deutschland oder arbeitest du in Amerika? Studierst du in Deutschland oder arbeitest du in Amerika? Okay, that question, you probably just have to make something up because you had to choose between one or the other, and one of them might not have actually applied to you. But you can say, ich studiere in Deutschland. Okay, ist Jan eine Freundin von Sarah? Ist Jan eine Freundin von Sarah? Okay, so if you're really good at German, you caught me, and the correct answer was nein. Jan ist ein Freund von Sarah. Nein, Jan ist ein Freund von Sarah. Jan cannot be eine Freundin. He must be ein Freund. Okay, that will be the end of lesson 1. If you have any questions, feedback, or corrections, please feel free to post them. If you have any suggestions for how I should organize these, please let me know. and I'll see you in lesson 2. Thanks. Bye.